Hello, my name is Ockrassa, and I'm an adjunct faculty at the College of DuPage, teaching drawing, painting, and art history. I'm here to talk to you about a little bit of my studio practice today. Most of my studio practice focuses on painting. As you can see here behind me, I have two paintings, one on a circular canvas and one on a sort of larger panel here. Talking a little bit about my process, I use acrylic paint and I use a number of things to help mask areas, so I can paint sort of flat application of paints to try and move away from any sort of mark making techniques, sort of that you focus more on the overall quality of the painting and the movement and color. I use everything from painter's tape, and you can see here I've got a bunch of different sizes. There's like a 3-inch, 2-inch, 1-inch, half-inch, quarter-inch. I have 1/8-inch tape as well. I find masking tape to be a vital part of my process, being able to tape off clean areas. I also seal that tape with a matte medium. Matte medium is a clear liquid, or almost clear liquid, that you usually would mix with acrylic paint as an additive to increase either the liquid quality of the paint or obviously to reduce the luster in a matte medium. They also have gloss medium, which would increase the luster or glossiness of the paint. But I find that matte medium works fairly well for sealing tape. So on a piece like this, this all started out as a black painting. Here's a canvas that's been primed that I have not painted on yet. I like to stretch canvas over panel. So this is sort of a hard backing with a plywood, birch piece of wood there. And then I stretch canvas on top of it. I find that's sort of the best of both worlds. Traditional canvases work great. They're light. They work for most people's process of painting. For me personally, I like to be fairly rough with my paintings when I'm painting them. Sometimes leaning on them, sometimes adhering to lots of stuff, pulling, replying. So I feel having both the panel and the canvas works well as a sort of medium for me. So that's what I have done, as you can tell on both of these. They are both panels. So I like that as a sort of medium rather than just a canvas or just a panel. Panels are great too. They give you a really nice sturdy backing, but if you had two panels like this and one fell over on the other, it would scrape the other panel, making it very difficult to use long term. So the canvas kind of protects the panel, and the panel kind of protects the canvas as far as becoming too loose over time, which is very common on stretcher bars, where you have canvas on stretcher bars. So, in a piece like this, as I said, I started out by painting it all black, and then I taped off the lines. It might be difficult to see here, but you'll notice that the lines here are black in between those breaks, which gives a nice visual break in the painting, I feel. So, starting out, I would be painting it all black in that gesso, and I would mask those areas. Then I would paint around those areas, depending on what I'm doing. I had this secondary idea of sort of doing this triangular form where the colors offset. And most of the time when I'm making a painting, I'm thinking about visual movement. I'm thinking about how the viewer will engage my painting, and hopefully to try and create an interesting optical experience. And something like this, which is a little bit more substantial. For things like this, these really intricate marks that I've made in a couple of these areas, I actually use a vinyl cutter. Some people might know it as a plotter. Here's some vinyl that I've cut, just sort of spare pieces. This would be if I wanted to add a circle to something. I could very easily cut it out and basically mask it, and then use acrylic paint to paint on top and pull. This would be something as sort of a more intense visual experience if I wanted sort of a dark value and light value kind of bouncing off each other to create a space. So for something like this, I would have painted it all one color, then I would have masked half of it with vinyl, then I would have painted the other color, then I would have pulled the vinyl, and then I would have a more intricate visual experience that's nice and clean. No matter how much matte medium I use and how carefully I tape, there is always a fair amount of touch-ups. That is sort of something that you have to deal with if you are interested in a sort of geometric abstraction, because those bleeds are very distracting when you are trying to build up a really clean visual space. Right, so, working on panel, painting with black gesso. I think that black is less intimidating than sort of a white canvas. Sometimes the white canvas is too much to look at, but a black canvas, for whatever reason, I feel like that's already nice. That's already a nice painting. That can almost be a painting in and of itself. So then, yeah, I mean, if you see any black lines here, it's kind of like working backwards. I would have to tape the black lines first, then I would have to paint around those black spaces, sort of knowing what I'm going to be doing long term. So a lot of this process is fairly rigid. There is a lot of planning that goes into it, rather than sort of more of an intuitive creative process. But just to show you real quick, like this would be a circle piece of vinyl. I could very easily, if I wanted a black circle on this, I would just take this piece of vinyl off the backing. I would just put it there, and if I painted around that, I have to sort of think of it as a negative, because this is white, but when I pull it, it's going to be black under it. So when I paint all the way around it after I've sealed it with matte medium, then I can pull it, I can get a nice clean shape. Circles are always something that I like to use because it's almost impossible to get a nice perfect circle, or it takes a very long time, rather than if you can use a plotter or a digital medium to help you with that. I see why there's no reason not to do that. I also do kind of silly things like save some of the tape and some of the vinyl that I've used. Both of these balls were started sort of at the beginning of graduate school, so maybe 8 years ago. This tape ball here, pretty substantial, is about 10 pounds of tape. And then the vinyl ball right here is about the same. It's a little bit larger, maybe 12 pounds. But it's a little bit goofy, but who knows, maybe those will turn into some more sculptural forms one day. I had the sort of idea, a retrospective down the road, to actually take like a buzz saw and saw it in half and see all the layers, because it is all tape and vinyl. There's no filler or anything like that. So yeah, that's sort of my process. Once again, trying to create visually stimulating paintings using geometric shapes, using a number of things to help mask my forms, whether that be tape, vinyl, or just a steady hand sometimes. Interested in how the viewer engages the work more than anything. Sort of the formal qualities, the color, the movement, the balance. And I feel like if I can get that sort of squared away or functioning the way that I am hoping that it functions, then the painting will be more successful in the long run. There's no deep allegory or meaning to the paintings. I really am interested in sort of systems of creation, and sort of if I don't plan a certain step in the right way, sometimes those things can go awry and the whole painting can fail. So there is a very sometimes rigid process, oriented creative process. But other than that, I'm once again more interested in sort of the formal qualities of the work, and how the viewer engages the work when they look at a fresh piece. So I hope this artist talk was informational and maybe helped you come up with some ideas for your own work. Once again, my name is Eric Ockrassa. I have my website is ericockrassa.com. So go on and check out some work. Thanks.